All right, everybody, we welcome you into this week's first Wave News Extra live stream here in the Wave Now studio as we enjoy this quad view, 4 different perspectives from our SkyTrack network of cameras. Quite a pleasant day, a little bit of light breeze in our New Albany camera with the flags waving, 70 degrees. You might have missed, there was a little bit of an insect friend covering some part of the camera there, but we can't blame them for also trying to make the most. It's been a pretty pleasant day so far, and it'll be a very busy weather week, which we're going to let you know. We're going to get into that tonight on Wave News at 11. The storm tracking team, of course, always easy to access what they're thinking in their forecast and all the ways you can connect with Wave News. Here we are. I'm Jose Sosaya. For those of you who are slowly, perhaps, getting to find us here in the Wave Now studio, when we do extra here in the evenings, is to sort of give you an opportunity to go over all the stories we've been working on. If there's a chance to go into things a little more in depth and just, get to reshare some of these things through your busy work days. It's always an opportunity that's well intended for those of you wanting to connect with us, whether that's on your TV devices, your smart TV devices at home, or the smart devices you've got that you take with you wherever you go. You likely were using some of that to read about the pretty sad, tragic news of a soldier who grew up in Hardin County in Glendale, now among the casualties of the war with Iran. His name was Sergeant Benjamin Pennington. He was hurt actually on March 1st when there was an attack at a U.S. base in Saudi Arabia, and he died from his injuries a week later, that being confirmed now. In learning some of the people who knew Benjamin Pennington in his life, we knew from them that he graduated high school in Hardin County in 2017. Our David Mattingly spent some time down there in the community earlier today, finding that he was impressing people even when he was becoming a young man, but described as someone with a lot of character.
Listening to a former high school teacher, before Ben Pennington was a soldier, he was the perfect student. Before he put on the uniform that he wore as he served his country, Ben Pennington was a standout in Hardin County's automotive technology curriculum. His former teacher heaps praise on the teenager he knew as someone who could do it all, calling him a Swiss Army knife of students and setting the gold standard for character.
Ben Pennington, as far as I'm concerned, has always been an American hero. From the point I first met him, everything that he did the way that I would be proud of.
Pennington enlisted in 2017 as a unit supply specialist. The Army did not say what he was doing when he was injured, other than he had been serving with the 1st Space Battalion, 1st Space Brigade since 2025.
Everyone else's impression was, man, that guy's doing really cool stuff. And he projected that. It was the hey, cool military guy doing cool military stuff. I can't help but feel like he was really, really proud of that. And that was a big part of his character after he left.
Hardin County Schools said Monday that Pennington represented the very best of our community, state, and nation. Governor Andy Beshear said Pennington is a hero who sacrificed everything serving our country. Congressman Brett Guthrie also reacting today, calling for prayers for his family and loved ones, saying our nation is forever grateful for Sergeant Pennington's sacrifice. In Hardin County, David Mattingly, Wave News.
Now, in our learning of what happened, we also were able to confirm Sergeant Pennington was stationed at Fort Carson and Colorado Springs. And our media partners out there were also able to connect with a service member who shared that they did work very closely with Sergeant Pennington.
Especially with somebody like in his job, MOS, at the time, you don't see many supply specialists eager to go to the field, eager to get muddy and dirty. If we were out there and it was raining and muddy and dirty, he was wanting to be right there with everybody. It was awesome. Definitely a different.
According to the Army, Sergeant Pennington will be posthumously promoted to Staff Sergeant. Flags are flying at half staff the day of his memorial in Colorado, but those details have not yet been announced. Bringing you back to more stories we've been covering over the course of the day, and some of these started before the weekend, extending well past it, but just trying to get some closure on this. It was a missing Indiana boater. His body was, unfortunately, but at least, this was the closure here, that it was recovered from floodwaters after days out searching. As you could see, the extent of the flooding. DNR folks confirming this was 55-year-old Bradley Deaton of Seymour. He disappeared in the floodwaters of Jackson County Friday. DNR saying that it wasn't just Deaton, it was another man out trying to help people who are trapped by these waters, but their airboat was having mechanical issues. It capsized east of Cortland, having even been pulled into a bridge somewhere. The person who was piloting the airboat was still able to get somewhere safe, but Deaton was last seen going downstream after the boat went under. Neither of the two men on board, according to officials, were wearing life jackets. So that is the update in case you had not been able to read or hear about that in particular. We're also following JCPS's decision with a pretty short-lived partnership with TARC now ending. This was a program in its original form meant to ease what was a bus driver shortage. But we're told this is to help the school district meet its budget deficit goal, trying to cut millions in spending so it can sort of make the difference up. As I said, short-lived because the partnership started in 2024. This was a plan to hire dozens of TARC drivers and help with the bus driver staffing issues. All the TARC drivers already have CDLs. 68 even did more testing so they could be certified to drive students on the buses. A spokesperson with JCPS tells us at Wave News that this change is not expected to disrupt current bus service. And now an update in Indiana, where there's a new law approved by lawmakers up north in the capital that might make it even harder on people dealing with homelessness in any sort of community in Indiana, because the governor signed a bill that in essence does criminalize sleeping in public spaces, and it includes parks and streets, a camping ban in essence. Our Logan Perrone did reach out to people who tried to advocate for people, for folks who don't have a stable home at the moment. And these, ministry leaders and other neighbors are saying that their argument is it's targeting people who might already be struggling. And here is Logan with his latest report.
After failing twice last year to ban unhoused people from sleeping outside in public places, Governor Mike Braun signed a new bill into law last week that'll do so. And it does come with the same concerns and criticism that we heard in 2025. At Catalyst Mission in Jeffersonville, their mission just got harder.
It doesn't make sense.
The organization's president, Jim Moon, says a new law banning sleeping or camping on public land in Indiana will do more harm than good for people experiencing homelessness.
I'm feeling scared and fearful for the people that are already traumatized, that are going to be even more traumatized by hearing this news.
Anyone who breaks the law would have 2 days to find somewhere else to go. Failing to do so could result in a Class C misdemeanor with fines up to $500 or 60 days in jail. Lawmakers and supporters of the new law believe it will help Indiana's homeless population, though people like Moon, who do the work daily to help people, say it won't solve their root problems.
It's going to cost our counties more dollars to actually move this situation forward than it is to actually help the situation.
Concerns from the community were brought up in neighboring Clarksville Saturday.
What rubric are we using before we create a bill that says we're going to use the penal system to house people?
At a town hall meeting, several voiced concerns about the impact and practicality of the law. Clarksville Police Chief Nathan Wall says his department would not even be able to enforce it.
We don't have the resources to contain people's personal property, and it's not going to fix the issues we have.
Moon says a start to a solution is people stepping up to help their neighbors in need.
Do what you can do, whatever little thing, or if it's a big thing, contribute as much as you can to helping people who are in these times get off the street.
The new bill will go into effect on July 1st. Reporting in Jeffersonville, Logan Perone, Wave News.
Our thanks to our Wave News reporting team for these updates. And there's a lot more to share with you here on the Wave News Extra live stream. Coming up on the other side of this break, pretty gnarly and grisly discovery in a murder investigation out in Bullitt County. So we'll walk you through the charges and allegations brought up against a husband for crimes that police believe were done against his wife. An update to a pretty convoluted shooting and a hit and run case that's all tied together out in the Highlands over the weekend. And an investigation from our great investigative partners and teams into issues for fire departments across the country. So we'll get into that on the other side of this commercial break in the Now studio. We'll be right back. Hey there, everyone. Appreciate you sticking with us or joining us just right now on the Wave News live stream, Wave News Extra live stream in the Now studio, connecting with us, whether that's on the app on your smart TV devices, on your smartphone through the Wave Now app, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, great ways to connect with you. And you can connect with us about the stories that we're following and that are mattering to you. We're going to spend a bit of an update here out of Bullitt County, where there's an investigation and police are accusing a man of killing his wife, actually beating her to the point where she couldn't even be recognized. And we were there in court to hear these first accusations be made. This is our Wave News reporter, Kirsten Foote, with the details.
Police have charged this man, Richard Cheshire, with murder, tampering with physical evidence, and abuse of a corpse. Now, Washington officers were called to a home on Williamsburg Court Friday night. Records show when they got there, they found Richard Cheshire standing in his garage covered in blood. Police say a body was lying on the floor, also covered in blood. They identified the victim as Richard's wife and said she had been beaten so badly she was unrecognizable. Inside the home, officers found a large piece of club-like wood covered in blood. An arrest report says she was wrapped up in a garden hose and a truck was backed up to the garage, leading police to believe Richard was going to load the body into the vehicle. The arrest report says he was detained without incident. Monday morning, he appeared in court by video conference. Here's what Judge Jennifer Porter had to say.
Based upon reading through that citation, noting his charges, the court does find him to be a danger to others. And we're setting a $1 million cash bond.
The judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. Cheshire will be back in court on March 17th for a probable cause hearing. Kirsten Foote, Wave News.
We're also following a case with a lot of twists and turns in back in Jefferson County, because in court today, we witnessed charges being filed against a woman who is accused of running over someone who was a shooting victim. This was on Bardstown Road this weekend. But at the same time, we also learned this case could be moved out of the county because there's a conflict of interest of many parties, in fact. So this is a picture of the mugshot of 24-year-old Israel Archie. She's charged with leaving the scene of the accident and failing to render aid. Now, before Archie's alleged involvement in the crash, there was a shooting Saturday very early, around 3:30 in the morning. So this was Bardstown near Baxter Avenue. LMPD saying they did know of one person who was shot in the leg and was taken to the hospital. But little later in the day, around 1:30 Saturday time, the hospital told police there was a second victim, apparently from the same exact shooting. Came to them asking for help, but only after they'd then been also run over by a car that same early morning. Archie's arrest slip says that she was actually seen on surveillance cameras leaving where the shooting happened in a red Nissan. Police then disclosing that apparently she later admitted a passenger told her that they thought she hit someone. Police say the victim in question here that Archie is the case is involved with had spinal fractures, rib fractures. What you're seeing here is video of today's hearing. And the judge disclosed to Archie and her defense attorney that the case might have to be moved because the victim's mother, in this case, works in this very arraignment court.
I recuse myself. The entire district court bench is going to ask to recuse themselves. Sure. We all have the same conflict in that this employee is here every time we do arraignment. I'm going to let you make it. I mean, I'm not making a motion to accuse because I don't know what you'll do. You're going to have to go outside of Jefferson County to get some arraignment.
The county prosecutor says they've reached out to the Attorney General's office to ask about other representation options, concessions in the case, while we still know Archie's bond was still kept at $250,000. In another case we are following, this is some more information about the circumstances about a deadly double shooting in Floyd County. A 23-year-old accused of shooting and killing his father and stepfather at a home in rural Greenville last week. So there is what is referred to, if you follow these kinds of cases or are in the business of the probable cause affidavit. It is a court record. And basically the outline it puts out is this started when Easton Good, the defendant in question, that his mom found him drunk and sick in the house early Thursday morning. She and her husband, Brad Butler, helped him to bed. Later the morning, Good's mother called Good's father, Kelly Good, to come get him. But when he and a family friend arrived, investigators believe that is when Easton Good shot and killed both his father and stepfather. The affidavit saying a family friend and Good's mother ran outside calling for help. And that is when they say the woman, the mother in question, found bullet holes in her shirt, though she was not hurt. Good. This case is still moving forward. What comes of it, we'll make sure to let you know. He did plead not guilty to 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of criminal recklessness. This is a face that you might be familiar in the aftermath of the deadly UPS plane crash, at least for those of you who've been following our coverage ever since the tragedy happened. And that is Todd Inman, who has been a National Transportation Safety Board member from Kentucky, leading in part the investigation into the deadly UPS plane crash, but he's just now been fired by the Trump administration. Inman saying he got a notice Friday from the White House that his position on the board was terminated effective immediately, but not getting much of a reason for his firing. Today, the White House released a statement about Inman's firing, saying they, quote, received highly concerning reports of inappropriate alcohol use on the job, harassment of staff, misuse of government resources, and failure to attend at least half of NTSB meetings. Since the White House and the government put that statement out, Inman has denied all of those allegations. On top of being a critical member of trying to get to the bottom of what happened in the UPS plane crash, Inman has also been the public face into investigating the deadly plane helicopter crash in D.C. over the Potomac River. I want to share sometimes is stories we're not able to play necessarily in the regular newscast during the course of the day as you tune in to watch all that we're working on. We have our investigative team partners, and they look into stories. This might require a little extra digging, sitting down, talking to the people involved, and giving that space to breathe and sharing that information in depth. All this to say, Across the country, it seems fire departments and firefighters are waiting years to get the new trucks that they need. Their vehicles that they already have, they're breaking down. They don't have available replacement parts. That affects the communities who are losing fire protection entirely, while the price of a single fire engine apparently has gone up 64% in 4 years. This is the work of investigative reporter Brendan Keefe, who learns the shortage is A, real, B, a national trend, and C, getting worse.
Multiple fire engines currently out of service.
If things start breaking down, places are going to burn and people could get hurt.
When seconds count, the fire truck could be years away from arriving.
If we can build a Super Bowl stadium in 2 years, why can't we build a fire truck in 2 years?
America's fire chiefs are sounding the alarm.
Years ago, we would order a fire truck, and a year later, it would be there.
Today, an order may take up to 4 years.
Firefighters in Alachua County, Florida, are waiting more than 3 years for a new ladder truck. And they're just miles from the manufacturer, one of the biggest in the nation. This is the only ladder truck in the Alachua County Fire Department. This year, it will celebrate its 17th birthday, well past its scheduled retirement age. The replacement ladder truck was ordered nearly 3 years ago, but won't arrive here in Alachua County until the beginning of next year. Are there days when it's out of service and you don't have a backup?
Yes, we put a fire engine there and put more ground ladders on it.
350 miles north in Forsyth County, Georgia, a dedicated fire fleet maintenance team is keeping 20-year-old reserve trucks on the road while waiting on orders placed years ago.
If I've got to wait that long, I've got to forecast out and know that I've got more trucks starting to retire before I get that order in. Maybe I need to double that order. Maybe I need to triple that order.
All of that demand has fire departments burning through taxpayer money to get the trucks they need to save lives.
In 2022, that fire engine was about $550,000. We just did another order in December of 2025. That same fire engine is now $915,000.
Most cars and trucks are built on assembly lines, mass-produced with repeatable steps based on a common set of designs. Not fire trucks. Orders are custom built, often one at a time, to each fire department's specification.
And this is part of the custom build that we do for our fire engines.
But we incorporate a larger cab-mounted light.
Is that something we need to continue? You start thinking, well, maybe the stock truck isn't as bad. Maybe we can adapt to what that truck is.
The customization is literally down to the exact shade of paint sometimes, right?
It is.
I mean, if my house is on fire, I don't care that that's a slightly different shade of red. I care that there's 2 trucks there instead of 1.
And that's our focus here.
Forsyth County came to the same realization, buying a pair of stock trucks right off a dealer lot.
We were able to get this truck as a stock unit.
If you didn't buy that truck, another fire department would have within days or weeks.
Maybe hours.
Forsyth County ordered 5 more stock trucks with limited customization that will get here in less than 12 months. An order you put in last week is now going to get here quicker than one you put in last year.
That's exactly right. How crazy is that?
Chief Shivers is trying to change the culture.
Firefighters hate 2 things: change and the way things are.
The big manufacturers still make more custom fire trucks than stock because that's what most fire departments order, tending to old trucks and older habits. The only question now is whether the tradition dies before the trucks do.
And that was reporter Brendan Keefe. There's a much deeper dive into this if you actually will follow to the wave3.com homepage. There is a section where you can look into, news, originals, troubleshooters, investigations, something you can have access to at your fingertips, as I always like to say, on wave3.com, because there's much more to get into with that investigative piece from our partners with Gray Media. We're going to take a quick break as we get to the last part of tonight's live stream. Folks, appreciate you sticking with us, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for one more recap of some stories I want to share with you as we wrap up our Monday. We are back here in the Now studio with this last part of tonight's Wave News Extra live stream, folks. And we will have an update on a new report that highlights the state of Kentucky's ongoing problem with having foster kids sleep in state office buildings. It confirms findings that the Wave troubleshooters unveiled in detail always have the reference points, the original parts of the investigation you can always go back to and read for yourself online. But in essence, we'll go through what the report from the state auditor's office today kind of goes through step by step. So it did find 300 children were temporarily being housed in offices, hotels, state parks, and this was over a 22-month period that this happened. Some of the children were runaways. Some were sleeping in facilities that didn't have any security that would merit keeping them safe. The report also finds many children were housed in facilities that didn't have showers or other kind of accommodations for you to actually live in. It also says some buildings, they were zoned for residential uses. It's unclear if local fire departments were given the heads up that people were living in office buildings. The state auditor says the Kentucky Cabinet for Health and Family Services has since pledged to make changes. They pledged to make changes for the last 4 years, but they have not been able to solve the problem in question. Now, about next steps that the audit puts out. The cabinet must submit written responses to the ombudsman's office to address these findings not too far away from now. So today is the 9th. March 24th is the deadline for submitting these written responses. And then after that, within 60 days, the agency is expected to then tell the ombudsman's office of the recommendations they have and have not implemented and their excuse, the reason or failure to do so in that time. And you could see the steps being disclosed, which is something our troubleshooters are going to follow quite closely, as we now know this window of time that the cabinet will be forced to answer some of these questions formally. Louisville's senior population, and discussing other health matters, we go from vulnerable kids to vulnerable older population, and it is growing. So there's more resources needed to support people in our community who are 65 and older. 3 partner groups had a vision, and they want to go what they say in the right direction. And they tell Wave News anchor Brian Schlonsky that's going to mean using their combined expertise, talents, and resources to talk about mental health, education, and healthcare. And they want to spend that energy to support neighbors in West Louisville in particular.
This partnership represents a shared vision, bringing together clinical expertise, academic leadership, and community-based care to strengthen the services available to older adults and their families.
ElderServe has been helping Louisville seniors in the West End since the 1960s. Their goal, empower older adults to live independently and with dignity.
Aging affects every part of a person's life. It affects physical health, emotional well-being, relationships, and the ability to remain connected to community.
Monday, that mission got a little easier thanks to a new partnership with U of L's School of Nursing and Creative Spirits Behavioral Health.
We believe in transforming broken lives into creative spirits, and that's where the name comes from. And the thing that we do know, the reality that we do know, is that if there's any segment of our population that deserves mental health care, it's our senior citizens.
ElderServe says care is strengthened in several critical ways. U of L nursing students get hands-on experience. Seniors get young people to interact with. Loneliness, grief, anxiety, and depression are addressed through creative spirits, and healthcare needs are met, all in one place. Why now? The aging population is skyrocketing, and healthcare systems are feeling the weight.
The United States is in the midst of a profound demographic transformation. So within the next decade, there'll be more Americans over the age of 65 than any other time in our history of this nation. Our hospitals, clinics, and community organizations are already feeling the weight of that shift.
That was our Brian Schlotsky reporting there. Now, for seniors who you know, or maybe you're tuning in or looking for a place to sort of answer these questions, maybe connect them with the resources and support they might need. A place like Elder Care, they're working on South 28th Street, and you can find more information about the specific services in the reporting we've done on our website, wave3.com. The timing perhaps also apt, as I'll let you know, the storm tracking team, best there is, reminding folks, we went through it on the Kentucky side for the state tornado drill. Indiana's is coming up tomorrow morning. Governor Mike Braun also proclaiming March 8th through the 14th. So this week is severe weather preparedness week for the Hoosier State. Let's drill down into Clark County, where emergency management leaders are asking for the community to step up. They're asking for this kind of help to create a bigger network of additional storm shelters, storm safe spaces for anybody who might not have that necessarily stable place that they could run to if they have the time to brace for the storm. So our Wave News anchor Rob Wells talked to one leader discussing the simple concept in the hopes that it does save lives.
Clark County Emergency Management Director Gavin Habner says the goal of public storm safe places is simple.
It's an easy thing that we can offer that also gets a peace of mind to those people in our community that may not have a safe place or a safer place to go.
He says Clark County is in the process of building a network of storm safe places that include businesses, churches, and community organizations.
I think it was probably 3 years ago. Looked down in Alabama. There was a county that had just recently been struck, and so I was peeking around their website and trying to see, what they did for, preparedness initiatives. And one thing I noticed was a list of what they called safer places for the community. And I thought, well, what a great idea.
The storm safe places are voluntary and not certified nor staffed by Clark County Emergency Management, but they are a place to go when the severe weather strikes.
So far, we've got the Henryville Community Association at the Henryville Community Center. And then we've got the Charlestown Arts and Enrichment Center located in Charlestown, Indiana.
He's hoping to add even more names to the list as we enter yet another spring and summer storm season. Rob Wells, Wave News.
And again, you can always read more about how you'd like to maybe set up your organization, your business to be a severe storm shelter on the Indiana side of things. There will be that in our updates of all the stories we do right here on the homepage of wave3.com. Best tool at your fingertips. And these are all the things we're also going to be sending to your phones in push alerts when you download the Wave Now news app, the Wave Weather app. All great tools for you to stay connected and so that we can get you that information in the event severe weather storm, something is coming and it's imminent, that you can get to safety and you could put your plan in action as quickly as possible. Hope you join us tonight a little later for the newscast coming up at 11, folks. Hard at work, putting stories together for more things are happening in our neck of the woods, how these decisions and events and stories are impacting us in all of our lives. We're going to have the storm tracking team preparing us for a Tuesday and a Wednesday that is going to get busy with that alert day risk. Beyond that, even preparing for pre-St. Patrick's Day weekend, and the weekend probably being the best window to enjoy all of that. Appreciate you spending this part of your Monday evening with us as we, will be here to break down the big stories of the day. When we get the opportunity to share these kind of deeper dives and exclusive conversations, interviews, we'll make sure to take the most advantage of that as possible. All right. I am Jose Sosaya here in the Wave Now studio. Let you go with one last look of a sun has set 7:38. I don't know if that. Okay. Might be a good reminder that for those of you who did spring the clock forward, this bug needs to have that adjusted as well. That's a good reminder. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. We'll see you at 11 and back here in the Now Studio tomorrow night.